happy in the loop day of January 2022, new edition. Such a treat. It's so wonderful to have all of you here with us. A big shout out to, of course, Sadiq, who joined us a little earlier. Thank you so much, my friend, for being here. We appreciate you so much. As you know, time is flying. We're having fun, and Greg is going to be bringing us the latest in tech to look at. And of course, I'll keep you posted on what to watch here in business, finance, and as you know, we always want to encourage you to continue to positively share and engage with us throughout the show. So a big welcome to In the Loop with Winnie and Greg. For those of you who aren't familiar with me, I'm Winnie's son, longtime financial pro, CNBC council member, Forbes contributor, and a host of few other things as well. But happy Thursday to you, my friend. And of course, let's welcome the one and only Greg Nibbler. Greg, how are you, buddy?
Hello, I'm doing great. It is so good to be here. Good to see you and everybody who's joining in. Hi, everyone. Thanks for being here so much. If you don't know, I'm Greg Nibbler, longtime tech reporter, covered all kinds of things. We're going to be talking about some things that I thought were pretty cool this week that I wanted to share with you all, make sure you knew about. But we're also live, which means we can take your comments and questions as we go through. And even if you're not watching live, still leave comments and questions. You can always reach out as well. But it's just so great to have everybody here with us. This show is always so much fun, and we learn a lot through it, and we have fun talking about all these things. And of course, we always start off with Winnie filling us in on what is going on in the world of finance, which I always so much appreciate. I look forward to this every week so I understand what's happening, because you make it make sense for somebody like me. So I always like that. And Winnie, it's always so great to hear your segment.
So one day when I don't make sense, Greg, I'll be in trouble. But I'm gonna go with that.
I wouldn't know anyway.
Well, it's interesting, Greg. I wish I had better news. Last week was pretty rough on the market, and this week's been pretty crazy too. In fact, on Monday, the market was down over 1,000 points at some point. But unfortunately, today we sort of have a triple down day again. Dow closed down 7 points, Nas down 189 points, S&P down 23 points. Now, as you know, the U.S. did, though, notch its actually strongest growth in nearly 4 decades last year. So that was great because the government pumped tons of money in the form of trillions of dollars, in fact, in COVID relief. And so that actually helped the market substantially. But this week, Fed Chairman Jerome Powell shared after a 2-day policy meeting that, unfortunately, the economy no longer needs more financial support. So what that means is they're going to start increasing interest rates. They're going to be starting to wind down a lot of those pandemic-driven policies that we enjoyed last year. So a lot of investors are really, really nervous. You're seeing that impact in the financial markets. And so, I wish we had better news, but temporarily we anticipate increased volatility. Now, don't forget also, this is midterm elections this year as well, which also historically is a highly volatile year. So lots of things are going to be happening with the financial markets. Definitely want to pay attention to it. We'll continue to keep you updated on this. But let's start with some other positive news. And I thought I would share this with you. And I got to tell you, Greg, I was channeling you this episode because I was thinking, I'm going to make sure that these topics not only have financial relevance, but of course that Greg would enjoy them too, because it got a little bit of tech spin to him today. So
nice.
Yeah. So let's talk Apple. So Apple, many of you have that trusty iPhone. I know Greg has several of them in his collection. But here's the thing. Apple is this is something that I think is really, really interesting. I really love this. Now, many of you have gone maybe to the farmer's market or even to some small retailer, and you've had to pay for something. And then the retailer will bust out their iPhone or another smartphone, and they'll attach this little credit card device on it and to plug it in. And then, they're trying to swipe your credit card and going back and forth. It doesn't really work that well. Well, Apple is coming up with a new solution. Now, they recently in 2020 purchased a company called MobiWave. And so they're going to be able to have now the ability to collect payment right into the phone. So they're not going to need that third-party other attachment to the phone. So this is going to be easier for small businesses to collect payments, to do business. And so this is kind of exciting. This feature is supposed to be coming in the coming months. And I'm sure, Greg, you already knew about this, but I can think about so many of my clients that do business, that conduct business in small businesses. I think this is going to make their life a lot easier.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a really cool feature to add on. All the different payment options that are out there right now, I like a lot of them just because of that, because it makes doing business easier.
It
Because I
makes
mean,
it easier.
and when a lot of us are transitioning to just paying with your phone anyway, I mean, that's just how it is without having to have a card even or anything else. Or even if you do have the card, just tapping it, having those different kinds of options is great. Great.
Yeah.
Make it easier for everybody.
Make it easier, Greg. And I'm wondering what they're going to call it too. Like, are they going to call it Apple Biz Pay? Are they like it's going to be extension of Apple Pay? I think we don't know that yet from what I can see, but you'll probably hear sooner. I was just really curious. I think this is, I think anytime we can do payment collection streamline, and I know this is a very large business for sure. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Streamlining is great.
Streamlining is good. And speaking of streamlining, this is an area where I think needs better streamlining. And that is, if you've probably heard this already, for those of you who are here in the United States, I know Vicky is usually with us, and this is not, unfortunately, I don't know if this is the case in the UK. So I'd love to see the comparison. But masks are coming. In fact, the Biden administration is distributing 400 million free N95 masks from the Strategic National Stockpile. Now, this is going to come through pharmacies and community health centers. So if you're looking for an N95 mask, which they are saying that we should start wearing these over cloth masks and surgical masks for additional protection. I guess this program is going to last all the way until early February. So I did a little bit of research. Now, depending on where you are, this could vary, but a lot of pharmacies are already having this availability starting today. And certainly more places will have available starting tomorrow. And I guess what you do is you simply go in, or maybe if there's drive-through, you go through that, and then they will give each person 3 per customer. And somehow some of the pharmacies said they're going to keep track so that, people don't overdo it and hoard these. But yeah, so that's available now. So if you are, you're still going around, you want to make sure that you're protected, do know that that's available. And from what I can see based on video footage, it looks like they're giving out these really nice 3M masks. So that's probably a good thing. But on other matters, and I thought that was sort of the good news, but then there's still a little bit of bad news. And I'd love to get your thought on this, Greg. And that is, the second richest man alive, Elon Musk. Elon Musk has unfortunately shared some disappointing news with all of us, especially you and I know, because you and I know we both put a deposit on the Cybertruck. I guess the Cybertruck is like the future truck now. But anyhow, Tesla is now going to be basically saying that they're not going to go ahead and with efforts to put together a $25,000 electric vehicle to market. Now, as we know, this is sort of a sweet spot for those who make cars, right? Because it's a very reasonable price market. They said they're just so busy right now creating other technologies, which I'm hoping that you're going to share with us. So basically, Cybertruck, not until 2023. And then the $25,000 vehicle, unfortunately, it looks like they said they're going to be, because of supply chain issues and semiconductor issues, they're going to really focus on the more higher price Model 3 and Model Y. And so, yeah.
I mean, I think with the production issues they're having anyway right now of just completing regular Teslas, Model 3s, Model Ys, all of those, that I guess it makes sense in that aspect, because I did see him say one thing, and it's kind of like, all right, dude, I get it, but it's true. He said, even if we make as many as we possibly can at the higher price point, we'll sell every single one of them. So I think going for that lower model right now is just not in the cards for them, not to worry about putting that research and development into making it. I think eventually we'll get there because of the fact that, you're going to have some other companies that are going to be making them perhaps, at a better price point that could match some of that. But I think it really comes down to, he just doesn't need to.
It just doesn't need to.
Right now. Yeah.
So, Greg, what are you going to do? I mean, are you going to get your deposit back? Or are you going to hold it there? And by the way, I want to say hello to Yuli on LinkedIn Live. It's great to have you, buddy, on. And yes, we're able to, there's a robot version of Winnie, thanks to Greg. So I'm kidding. But yeah, I mean, what do you plan to do, Greg? Are you plan to just continue to hold, wait till 2023 rolls around, or are you going to get your deposit back?
Yeah, for the Cybertruck, because I think you and I both put a deposit down. I mean, I think it was $100, just to put yourself in the line, or at least that's what I did. And you can get it back, but I mean, at this point, I kind of want to ride it out just to see what happens. Because originally, I believe there was supposed to be some at the end of 2021, and then that got pushed and pushed and pushed. Now it's sometime 2023. So really, who knows? And I think it's probably going to depend some on, until they get all of these production facilities really up and running, and supply issues too, I'm sure, playing a role.
Right.
But it's also kind of classic Elon. Like he'll promise a lot of things and then it'll get pushed. A lot of times he'll follow through, and the things he says will eventually happen. But I don't know when this
I feel like that.
Yeah.
I mean, Greg, what you're saying, I feel like that too, right? I feel like Elon is like sort of master the give me your money first and I'll hold on to it with my great idea. And he's probably collecting so much interest on these deposits for this and for Starlink too, right?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, that money's just probably in the bank somewhere. Remember, I think I just saw this week they were saying that like Tesla is very cash rich. And I was like, I wonder if it's all these deposits and then earning interest on
right?
How are you investing that money? I want to know.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, because Starlink, I think, is a $500 deposit, even just getting those things. So, I mean, it's kind of disappointing because I really wanted to see that. They're not the only ones delaying. I know Rivian, theirs was getting delayed as well. They're kind of a Tesla Cybertruck competitor. Theirs looks more like a regular truck, but it's just hard to say with anything anymore, no matter what the field is, just because of supply supply delays.
Didn't Amazon Amazon turn their back on Rivian too? I think that's
Ford, I believe, also was wavering on it. I don't remember exactly how it went down. I just know not happening as much. And of course, I invested in stock in Rivian, so I was acutely aware of that. But it's one of those things. If you want it, he knows you're going to wait for it. You're still going to hold on and wait for it because there's not another real direct competitor that looks like that Cybertruck.
It's a cool looking car.
It's a cool looking car.
Shows up.
Although kind of divide. So I know some people who don't think it looks cool, but I think it looks pretty neat as long as it really functions as a truck as advertised. I think I'm gonna hold on. I'll wait.
Okay.
I'll wait for it.
Okay. I'm still on the fence, but when I decide, I'll definitely let you know.
Okay.
It's
Please
awesome. Do. Yeah. And those of you who are watching, I still want to say hello and welcome. Sadiq, of course, on YouTube Live. Amazing to have you here. Joshua, CrossX Fighter, YouTube Live. Amazing to have you here. Yuli on LinkedIn Live, and so many others of you. So those of you, don't be shy. Let us know where you're joining us from. Yes. And of course, now we're getting to the good stuff because Greg's about to tell us. What else are we talking about?
Let's talk about that. So talking about vehicles, and it's funny, actually, I just saw Sadiq chiming in, and we were just talking about this on LinkedIn about a new car that you supposedly will be able to get here within the next year, although you might have to go to Slovakia to get it. But it is the actual flying car, a real flying car that we've all been talking about forever. And so this is the one that came out. So they've been testing this. I may have even talked about it on the show when they were doing some test flights. It's called the Air Car. So they cornered it. Perfect name for it. And it really is a car that converts into a plane. It converts into a plane. It's got wings on the side that'll pop out. So it takes about, I believe it was 2.5 minutes, 2 minutes and 15 seconds to transform from a car into an aircraft. And they've been doing all kinds of test flights with this. And they just got approval from Slovakia that this is certified airworthy from the Slovak Transport Authority. So that's their I'm assuming it's their version of the FAA.
That looks so crazy.
Yeah, and so there it is, flying right next to some planes, and then you can land it, convert it back, and drive on your way. So it's pretty cool that this is actually certified, and again with all the tests. So right now, it's capable of going 100 miles an hour and about 8,000 feet high. So pretty decent. 100 miles an hour, you can fly around with this thing. Then you land and go. But they're saying that the next version, the version that they're hoping to put out to market, maybe at the end of this year. Again, who knows? Maybe it's next year. We'll go 186 miles an hour. And one of the things that's different about this too, and then even up higher as well, is that it's using a regular gas-powered engine. So this is, you go to any gas station, that's what it's running on. So it's a little bit different than a lot of the ones we're seeing that are electric. And there's some environmental concerns there. You don't want these too many, but I'm gonna guess eventually they're gonna switch. They'll have some kind of electric version in the plans. But right now, there it is. Converting. Just like something that
like a convertible car.
Right. Yeah. It's just converting right in, wings pop in, there you are at the airport, and you're on your way.
Cool. Okay. We got to know, I know all of you are asking, and I'm thinking this too, is how much is this going to cost us, Greg?
Yeah.
They've got to have a price tag, right?
So that's the thing. They haven't given a whole lot of details on that. There's speculation that, it could be up into the million, like $1 million for this thing. Wow. So it's not going to be something that you're going to be necessarily.
So Jay-Z's getting one, basically. All the rich people will have them, and then we'll watch it from the sky. Is that a bird or is that a
Yep. No, it's Jay-Z and his flying car. That's that's the name of an album right there. So, but yeah, it's still though, it's really cool just to see this tech actually coming to fruition. And you've got a lot of companies working on flying vehicles, but this one, it's so unique looking. Because there you go, a bunch of people actually just taking pictures as they're driving around
That's
in this.
amazing.
But yeah, pretty cool. So that is the Air car, and yeah, they're thinking maybe market at the end of this year or beginning of next year. At least in Slovakia, you'll be able to fly around on this thing. But if it got
That's
approved somewhere,
incredible.
the one thing though for this one, you will need a
Mhm.
pilot's license. So
Okay.
yeah, there are definitely some stipulations there, but it's getting closer. It's getting
But talk
close.
about convenient, right, Greg? I
Yeah,
mean, like, I mean, I'm sure if you have the means to buy a small plane, but then
yeah,
once you get to the location, you would normally have to rent a car or have someone pick you up. But now
yeah,
you could basically take your car plane with you,
yep.
and you get your pilot's license. It actually looks really cool. I just finished like a multi-state road trip this past week. It took me 3 days to get to Texas and then 3 days to fly back. I mean, fly back to drive back. This would have been such an incredible time saver.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
And just do some little puddle jumping hops, go somewhere, or even just like a quick trip out of town. But now you can go,
Right?
fly a couple of states over, land and just drive to your hotel or whatever. I
Yeah.
love this idea. I feel like we've
Yeah.
been promised the flying cars our entire lives. So maybe we're finally getting there, some
Yeah.
Jetsons
I
kind of
love how it's so
technology.
efficient that you can have two vehicles in one, right? Because
Yeah.
I mean, just how like some people they drive, they have those big motor homes and in the back they got a little pop-up car.
Yeah.
Now you got it all in one.
Yeah.
So
All in one. So pretty interesting
pretty
there. And I've,
cool.
I've got a few kind of interesting things that I thought from this week that I wanted to share with everybody. So going from that flying, a flying car, what about a personal flying vehicle? This one, we've shown some of these. This one I think is really unique because of how strange it looks, and it's from a company called Zeva, and it's called the Zero. And this thing is they're a company actually out of Tacoma, and you can take a look here. They did a test flight of this a couple of weeks ago, and it looks basically like a UFO on its side.
Looks like a meatball.
Yeah. And they've got a mannequin in there for this test flight, but eventually that's going to be a person in there. And it takes off. It's got these 4 rotors on it, and it will it'll go up to 160 miles an hour. It can actually lay flat once you're up in the air, is the
Oh,
goal. So
interesting.
you'd be almost like Superman in this thing, flying around. And it can go with a range of up to 50 miles. And this one is electric. It's an electric vertical takeoff and landing vehicle. And so the idea here for this, and you'll see it as it kind of hovers, is to get really direct from one point to another point with no restrictions, essentially. So where you
Wow.
can go anywhere. And they're starting it off with their statement is that this would maybe go to rescue personnel, people who are
Oh,
doing any
yeah,
kind of
that's a
medical
great
rescue,
idea.
or you can imagine like, somebody stuck on the side of a mountain, and you could just
Mhm.
fly right up, get right next to them, grab them, and I don't know what you would do from there. If there's a space for another person or provide medical treatment, however it would work. But yeah, so they're saying that that's kind of who they're targeting at first.
That's
And
great.
yeah, they cost $250,000 is what it's going to cost when it first comes out, which if you think about for an actual, rescue service, that's probably feasible that you could
Mhm.
do that and have that ability. I was really thinking a lot about, even like firefighters or forest firefighters, something along those lines where
Right.
you really need to get into remote areas really
Mhm.
quick. So that's one that they're testing out right there. And they've got some more tests. It sounds like they might proceed to actual having a person in there later on this year. But yeah, kind of a weird looking vehicle for sure.
It is a
They've
weird
seen
looking
that.
vehicle. You said it right. Let me, Greg, I love that the idea you have the application.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, like you said, for medical purposes, if they're
Mhm.
gonna have the capability, kind of like a ambulance, how someone could be, horizontal, given how
Yeah.
much space that they have.
Yeah.
But
Strap somebody in there, or if
yeah,
you need to get them off of, get them out of somewhere. Yeah. Yeah. Certainly
right.
a lot of applications that would be pretty cool with that. But that's what they're working on. They started off, I believe it was for a competition for Boeing for coming up with
Oh,
different flying vehicles, and they got funding from there, and then they've got their own company going. And the guy said he's been thinking about this stuff since the early 2000s, and now it's finally coming to fruition that they're building this thing. But it's not just medical personnel. They eventually see this as part of the infrastructure of like a city for commuting. They even
Mhm.
they had this demo video they put out, and I don't think I grabbed it, but it was showing like landing pads at the tops of or even on the sides of buildings. So you would fly up to the 20th floor and land your little Zero Ziva pod thing and walk right into the office. So
That's so cool.
thinking about different ideas on how that could work. There'd be a lot of traffic management issues, I would
Oh
think,
yeah, that's true.
associated there.
It kind of looks like it's run. It kind of looks like it's powered like a drone would be with those like propeller thingies.
Yeah. A lot of that same technology is being used in a lot of these different flying vehicles that we're seeing. There's the different kind of like pod racer styles and lots of them out there, but a lot of it is that same basic technology that's used in drones and just put up onto a bigger scale. And then using electric power too is also cool. It limits it a bit on what your range can be.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Certainly, it doesn't contribute to as much to any kind of environmental issues. Just charge it back up. And, if you fly into work, charge it all day and then fly right back to your house.
That would be so cool, right?
Yeah.
And then like charge by solar.
Yeah. Yeah. I so want to take off on one of these from my backyard and just like zip around for.
So the question is, which one would you rather have?
Oh, either the flying car or this thing?
Flying car or this one? Because I'm guessing this one you also need a pilot's license, right? Or do you not? Because is it done by remote control?
I don't think they've even gotten that far on it that I'm aware of, because I don't think there's really a license necessarily for that. But I would imagine you have to have something once it gets to that point. Maybe not though a full pilot's license.
I love the idea of having a car and a plane together. But the second one is cool too. I can see it like, like Greg's like, hey, like, what are you having for lunch? I'm having this. Here, I'll Uber Eats it for you. And the pod like.
Yep. Takes it right over. All for that. I'm all for it. Like I said, as long as if I can get a burrito by a drone, that is the epitome of
that would be cool. A California burrito, by the way. That would be amazing. Yeah,
that would be good too. So that's looking at that one. I thought that was pretty neat though, just showing what people are working on. All right, I've got another one though. So this has to do with actual travel and something that is probably would be even more useful for a lot of people. Now, do you remember the old Airstream RV trailers? The kind of the silver bullet was their nickname. They got the silver on them.
They're really valuable right now.
Very valuable. Yeah. Because there's not that many of them that are left out there. Well, there's a company that bought the rights to Airstream, and now they created a prototype of what they're calling the E-Stream. And the E-Stream looks very similar to the original one, but it's actually built on an electric vehicle chassis, essentially underneath of it. So the trailer that is built on has electric power. It'll actually turn the wheels on the trailer. So that'll help you with mileage, whether you have an electric vehicle or a gas powered. It's actually turning. And so they did a great video here, actually, of giving a demonstration of it. So showing that, they can power this thing. So it's helping out. They also have a smart trailer hitch, essentially, that can help manage the weight and your turns. So that also makes it a lot more efficient when you're actually out there using this thing. And I thought it was pretty ingenuitive to have this on there. But check this out. This is the part that I thought was crazy. You can remote control it. So you get to your camping spot, and so if you've ever driven a trailer, it can be really hard to actually maneuver those things around. This is how they say you can get rid of that. You just park it, unhitch it, and then just use a remote and back it right into wherever you want.
Sign me up. How much is that thing?
That thing's going to be expensive, I think. I don't think they gave a price yet on this. I haven't seen anything yet where they have the price. But in theory, it shouldn't be. I don't know how much a regular Airstream is right now, but in theory, it probably wouldn't be too much different. Especially if they start building a lot of these things.
Especially if they build, that's so cool though, right? Greg, I know you're a big camper, and I would love this to take. My husband and kids would totally love this thing, and the fact that it can so easy to turn, right? And then you can control it. Like you can control your Tesla in many ways with your phone. So that kind of reminds me of that technology.
Yep, it's same, some of the same kind of stuff. So yeah, just a giant remote controlled trailer. Although I would hope, if you were camping at a campsite next to somebody, I would hope they park it. You don't want somebody having a couple of drinks being like, "Hey, let me show you my trailer here," and zipping around. but that's what I would be nervous about.
I see what you're getting at there.
Yeah. I'm like, okay, let's not mess around with it right now. But the other thing too, it's got solar panels on the top of it, which help charge a generator, so an electric generator. So that's
Mhm.
another thing, and again, if you've camped at a campground, RVs typically have a pretty loud gas generator that goes with them. This would help quiet that down a bit, and it can constantly be getting charged as you're driving around with the solar panels on it. So
Yeah,
that
it's
can
great.
bring more extra power into it. Yeah, pretty neat. This remote control thing is
The
that
remote
trips me
control
out.
thing is like sort of next level for sure. And
Yeah,
I love that, like you said, that smart technology because they tend not to be the most nimble, right? And
yeah,
like to have its own power so that it can control how it moves as well. I think
right,
that
and get it
that
into an
sounds
even
really
better
smart.
position too.
Hmm. And I love how they did the solar panels on the top, right? It looks so
Yeah,
streamlined versus like typically when you attach it, sort of an afterthought. So they
yeah,
sort of like it looks still a little rugged.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. So pretty cool. I would be really this one. I think I
Yeah,
might be the most excited about because it seems like the
me
most
too.
tangible of something that
So
you could get.
that's it, Greg. Buy one, get one free. We got to go in.
Yeah,
Okay.
there it
Reach
is.
out to us. Greg wants one Oregon. I want here in one California. We need
Yep,
two.
yep. That's all we need. We just need two of those. We'll film the whole thing. We'll
That's
do the
right.
show from. We'll be in location on
That's right.
location in each one of these things. You know,
We'll
that.
film from them. We'll stream
Yeah,
out of them.
yeah.
Oh,
Perfect.
that's like total e-stream.
Oh yeah,
Streaming from an e-stream.
streaming on the East. I mean, there's so
Yeah,
many marketing tie-ins here. So
we're
Thor
thinking.
Industries, please make note of this and
Make note. Yeah.
send us one of those.
Direct message. Either one of us. We'll make sure. Like the yeah. We'll take care of you.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So pretty cool though. I thought just kind of rethinking that, just the whole camping experience and
That is
RVing
super cool.
experience, even more than that. Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty fun stuff. So again, I just kind of was taking a look at some of the things that were trending this week, and I want everybody to know too. There's lots of tech announcements coming up over the next couple of weeks. There's a big Samsung event, so all kinds of things. So I was just kind of cherry picking things that I thought were pretty interesting. But going back to Elon, there were some more announcements that he made this week, and
What did he say?
so the delaying the Cybertruck, but he brought back up the Tesla bot. So this was something he showcased last year in a really weird display. He had these people dressed up as robots that were dancing behind him, talking about, oh yeah, we're making robots now. So he it's just, I mean, it's Elon Musk, so it's like, all right, sure. You got people dressed up as robots. But he said that they're actually working on these humanoid robots to be personal assistants, not only in commercial settings, but also potentially at home. And he reiterated that they are putting a lot of effort and energy behind making these. He's basically saying this was not a joke. We are making these, and we're putting a lot of design power behind them, a lot of research power, because he was talking about how this is kind of the future of how things are going, how there's shortages in the workforce for a lot of companies, or jobs are dangerous. This is how he is thinking it. And there's other companies doing it too, but just putting the Tesla name behind it gives it a little bit more, at least, attention.
It looks human.
Yeah, and that's it, making them look humanoid enough, but not having the uncanny valley face that's almost human but not quite human. His don't have that on them, but this is how he is saying they would potentially look. They're coming up with names. Optimus is what they've kind of stuck with. So Optimus being the potential name for them, but that's
Optimus Prime.
Exactly. I think then he went Optimus Subprime is what they were. They were going with.
Subprime, we shouldn't use that term so much, people. We just went through the real estate crisis not that long ago with subprime mortgages, just saying.
Yeah, maybe a bad marketing term for that. But Optimus for right now. Optimus is good.
Optimus is good.
So yeah, and that's what he's saying, that this is eventually something that we're going to be using. And I fully believe that too, whether it comes from Tesla, whether it comes from the other companies working on them. Hyundai is really big into it. Like personal robotic assistants and robotic assistants in the workforce are going to be a thing. It's going to happen. And companies are certainly building toward that. And there's a lot of good use cases for that.
Well, hopefully it stays good use cases, right?
That's the big issue with all of this and artificial intelligence is who's in charge of programming them.
Yeah.
Because that's really what it comes down to. Like, once these things get smart enough, I guess, or the artificial intelligence gets good enough, what's the decision-making process? How is it deciding what it's doing and make sure that it doesn't hurt humans? That should be the number one.
Absolutely. How does it abort?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Is there
I
an
want
off
to know.
switch? Give
Yeah,
me an off switch. I can just
like a for sure off switch.
yeah. Yeah. Let me turn it off with my phone if I decide I don't like it. But that's it. So he's just kind of saying again that they really are working on those kinds of things as well. And
The
it's
Tesla bot.
the Tesla bot. Yeah. So another potential. And then the final thing I was going to bring up too had to do with another Elon company, a lot of Elon Musk in the news and a lot of his ideas. But this is one that they have demonstrated some abilities with, and that's for Neuralink. So this is another one of his companies. You got Tesla, you got SpaceX, you got the Boring Company, you have Neuralink. And Neuralink, this is a video that they showcased earlier, I believe it was last year that they put this video out. And Neuralink as a company, they're working on machine brain interfaces. So this is, to put it very simply, a chip that goes in that's implanted into your brain that you can use to control things. You can control machinery, computers, what have you, all using brain power. And this is showing how they were studying with their monkey here, who does have one of the brain chips in, and they were training it, and it's using brain power essentially for part of what it's doing in controlling this. And they gave a demonstration of how it ends up doing that, and that it's, an actual feasible thing. The news is that they are looking for I believe the term is clinical studies director, or somebody to be in charge of the human trials. They want to start putting these in humans and actually going to a trial basis. So
But what is this for?
So this would be using your brain to control, just thinking things, think and make, think and control your computer, think and control a piece of machinery, think about your Tesla showing up and it rolls right up to you. Those
do we
kinds
really
of
need
things.
that? Like literally we'll be like 100, like we won't be leaving our houses. It's like, I can see this being maybe for people who have had injuries, right? That this would be very helpful, but is this really necessary for the average person?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. So definitely for people with injuries, that's a great use case. I love that. I think we even talked about some of that a couple of weeks ago when we were on the show, a different company that's doing this, but he's looking beyond that. And this is part of this, I won't go too far in, but this philosophy of Elon Musk that eventually either AI and robots will surpass us and we will not be really useful to them, or we need to work on merging technology with humans it's looking at the future of humanity. He is saying is going to have to incorporate and merge with machinery and artificial intelligence in some aspect, or we're going to become obsolete.
This is a little disturbing.
Yeah. He's got a lot of interesting,
there's regular Earth and then there's Elon Earth.
Yeah. And there's Elon's world. That's part of what he's looking at with this, is to figure out how we can integrate that more into our lives. And they're going to, it sounds like, go to human studies on these pretty soon. And who knows where they're at. Maybe secretly they've already done some of this. That's what Neuralink is doing. And they keep promising they're going to be showing more demonstrations, and then they'll just kind of out of nowhere do them. So you can't really anticipate it, but they'll just be like, and tomorrow we're going to show you this. And they'll drop some video. I could see definitely this year, looking forward through tech this year, I bet we're going to see some kind of demonstration with the human from Neuralink. I would bet money on it that we'll see something.
Well, I hope they start with, people who really need it first. I think that would be great, because I think that could certainly help people and have a better quality of life. I think that would be great. I don't know about mainstream. I feel like mainstream should wait a little bit, but
yeah. And that's, I mean, I agree with you on that too. I mean, I think, even the last episode of The Loop too, if nobody's seen it, you can go watch that as well. But we talked about some different medical technology, and that was a company that was doing that. Yep. Yeah. And who could, it was a guy, I believe he was quadriplegic. And he was able to control a computer and send tweets out. And he actually did live tweets just with his brain. And it was pretty cool to see. You can still go through and actually read the tweets. They're all up there. It was just like, I'm doing this all with my brain. It's really neat. Yeah, I'm paraphrasing, but it's something along those lines.
I remember that. That was a little weird too. But then it was for a great because he couldn't otherwise. Yeah. So I love that. Yeah.
It was overcoming an obstacle using technology. So that part was cool. I don't know where Neuralink's necessarily going with it. They did say, that's part of it. But I think they're looking beyond that too.
It is quite amazing.
Cyborgs.
Yeah.
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 But something to look for, we'll see what happens this year, but a lot of cool stuff happening in tech. I mean, this is normally kind of a little bit of the slow part, but in these next few weeks, we've got Samsung already announced their event, which is, I believe, next week. The week after that. All these dates are like flying out right now. So it's like Samsung, Apple's going to most likely be having one coming up soon, where we'll get to see something cool from them. Everybody else will be rolling out things, new televisions, new phones, new tech. It's just always nonstop. And that's why it's so much fun following along with it. There's always something new and exciting.
Always something new.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool. I'm excited to see what you're going to show us for the next couple of weeks. So
yeah,
yeah,
me too.
Yeah,
me too.
well,
There's some
we
cool
really
things.
enjoy you doing this because this, like, I'm so excited. Like, I know you were telling me earlier before we jumped on that there wasn't that much this week, but you actually brought you brought us plenty. You brought us the cake and the candle and everything else, Greg. This was a great episode.
Awesome. Well, yeah, it's all, it's always great talking about these things and just sharing it with people, and then having people write in too, which I want to reiterate that, please reach out anytime. I'm available on LinkedIn, Twitter, email, wherever you find me. Please feel free to reach out and send over cool things that you find, or if you have questions or whatever, you just want to talk about whatever we talked about on here, or talk about something else, or maybe you're designing something cool. Would love to hear about it.
We would love to hear about it. And actually, I'm gonna jump on that, Greg, because for those of you who are watching us and following along, I want to also encourage you to follow Greg and I on LinkedIn. Okay.
Yes.
So take a moment if you can. We are going to be launching something very special. So make sure you're following us on all the platforms: LinkedIn, on Twitter, on Facebook, wherever we are. It would be great to have you follow along because we want to take you on this journey. We have a lot of fun things planned in the future. So
definitely. Yeah. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for being here with us.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here. I'm sorry we weren't here last week. We had a lot of stuff going on, but we are back, and I know we have a special show planned for you next week. So definitely tell a friend, and definitely don't be a stranger, and follow us along next week, next Thursday. Right, Greg? Are we back?
We are back.
We are back.
100%. Yeah. Looking forward to it. So many fun things to discuss and talk about. So thank you, everybody. Thanks for being here. Thanks for liking, sharing, subscribing, all of it. Thanks for commenting. And I think that's it for this week.
And that's a wrap. We'll see you next week. Take care now, everyone.
Bye.